Hey, Michael Leckie here. If you don't know me, I'm an advisor, consultant, speaker, and soon-to-be published author who works on helping organizations understand and deploy the human capabilities that change them for good. What you're about to see is a video with a good friend of mine and the CEO of the company Howspace, Ilkka Mäkitalo. Howspace is a great online collaboration, facilitation, and engagement tool that I've been an early adopter of and a big proponent of. But this is about more than just Howspace. This is about how do we engage and really connect with people and have dialogue at scale in a virtual world, which has become more and more important now that the COVID-19 pandemic has rendered masses of us working at home in a way we never have before and needing to still connect with people and really touch them and also take them through experiences, guide them through conversations, and engage them in dialogue. So the following video is a webinar that we did. Ilkka set it up and we had hundreds of people join us and they were great, asked wonderful questions. You'll figure out who's who pretty soon. Well, of course, you've seen me now, but Ilkka is the quieter Renaissance man from Finland who is the CEO of Howspace, and he starts us off along with one of his colleagues. And I'm the kind of, overly perky American guy who jumps in with things I think are interesting to say. Either way, I hope you'll find it useful, not just to learn about Howspace, which is a great tool, but obviously not the only tool out there, but to learn about how do you really digitally facilitate and engage in a great dialogue. So please let me know if it was useful. You can go ahead and reach out if you want to my website. Should be seeing it right there, silverbackpartners.net. Love to hear from you. And if you want to hear more about Howspace and my experience with it over the past several years as an early adopter, please feel free to reach out. Once again, silverbackpartners.net, or you can just write to michael@silverbackpartners.net, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks a lot.
Michael, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure, real quick. Michael Leckie. I'm a consultant, advisor, and speaker, and I work in the space of kind of building the human capabilities needed to change organizations for good in the 21st century in a digital world, and have spent a good chunk of my career in a digital transformation and working with organizations as they move through every aspect of digital change and application, including digital facilitation. And I've also done a fair bit of facilitation and event work as well. And I've known Ilkka and the team there for, I guess, about 4 or so years now, maybe more. And we've worked together all over the globe, and I'm a big fan. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here with us. Yes, I'm Ilkka Mäkitalo, Mr. Howspace. Quite often I am called so, the product owner of our platform and founder and CEO. Also, so I'm living and breathing digital facilitation, seeing dreams every night about new features and new functionalities. Happy to be here with you, and not only with Michael but all the participants. So during this 45-minute session, we are going to use this Zoom for sharing some stuff through Zoom, and then you are all invited to Howspace, and you can decide how you are sharing your screen, or do you have double screens, one for Zoom, another for Howspace, or you can use Howspace through your mobile device, your phone or tablet. So whatever feels pleasant, or just share your screen so that there's 2 windows while we are working here. And it was really nice to see the activity in Howspace beforehand. So you raised up interesting questions in there. We are trying to react and respond to those during the session, and this is quite often our way of working, and something we recommend, that whatever kind of event, even short webinar, it's good to start beforehand. So being oriented, being connected, and especially it's important that everyone is heard, so that while we are preparing this kind of sessions, we are not just doing it our own way. We are listening to the participants beforehand and designing then the event based on the needs and interests of the participants. we talk both in general level about digital facilitation, because Howspace is our life, and that's where most of our experiences are coming from. We are mostly focusing on that, but this is not a product demonstration. If you are interested, we can organize that kind of webinar separately, but this is more like about getting some experiences and having some principles that we are following shared during this session. And so I will start sharing my screen to check out what you have been saying already aloud. And so what you said that you are interested in is mostly examples and practical tips and some hands-on things. So every issue has been interest of some of you. So we try to combine these by learning by doing and creating examples on the fly. And Michael has probably good stories that you could give a taste of real work with Howspace and your customer cases. I just added one more poll here asking about your special interests. And there's some answers in here. If you haven't answered, please do it now, so we can still like tailor-made our approach based on what your needs are and your areas of expertise and your practice.
And just so that everyone is on the same page, for those of you who haven't used Howspace before, you need to go to Howspace. You've been invited to Howspace. So there is the interaction that Ilkka is talking about. So you can go to your emails and you have an invitation where you can answer these.
Yes, it might be at first a bit confusing sharing my screen and having your own Howspace. So interaction needs your own Howspace access. Okay, great. One thing that we could do now is that there's quite often discussion about presence in online settings, and we just added a new page here, who we are. And because this is now like broadcasted for you and you don't have your voice and video turned on, here's a page where you can add your own image. It would be really nice to see who we are. And that happens, I will change my role to a participant first to show. So once you click your own initials or your photo, you can find your profile in here and change profile image. And if you are using mobile device, you can take a photo of yourself or just browse your photo libraries and add it to here, and it will be updated in real time. So it would be really nice to see who we are today together. Yes, Laura was quick one.
Ilkka?
Yeah.
It strikes me as that this is very much, and I'll try and draw some of these parallels as we go, but very much the, hey, turn to someone next to you and see who they are, in the room. I mean, it's just a little bit of a get to know each other. And as we'll go through this, we'll talk about how good facilitation, good meetings, good sessions are good meetings and good sessions and good facilitation. We just have to learn how to adapt them and then expand them in digital tools like Howspace.
Exactly. And did you say that you had another webinar about presence?
Yes, I'll go ahead and share that as well. Last week with a friend of mine, Mark Bowden, we did a session on how to have presence when you're not present, and we talked less about the digital tools available. We talked more about what you do, your environment, how you connect, your body language, things like that, in order to have a real presence. So they're a great bookend. I'll go ahead and share the link. It's free. I know that some folks that are on here were with me last week, so hope it was good. If it was good, make some comments in the chat box. And I guess if it wasn't, tell me that too, and I'll try not to be sad.
All right. Thanks, Michael. I will do one facilitation trick here that I didn't plan to do, but I will go to user management and add one field to the profiles. So just text field, and it would be like asking everyone to share one word that is right now important for you. So just one word, add one word, and it will be in your profile just when I save this, and let's put it mandatory. So it will ask you to share one word, and then I will go to who we are, and my word could be like facilitation. And then I will change the settings and show the word by everyone. So seeing what's on your mind, and it will also be updated in real time. So we could do this kind of thing in many different ways, but I've never done this before, so it looks like a fun way to do it. Okay, and we can come back to this later on during this session, and feel free to come back in here. This will show only 101st participants, so I need to click to see the rest of you. Okay, but let's talk shortly about some principles and our learnings in this area. So I will share a few slides here directly from Howspace, and I will go to presentation mode. All right, so here's a kind of agenda for our session today. It will be found in here. We might be improvising a bit, and I think I would like to spend with you some time with experimenting stuff. So doing things together with such a group today. So I think one of the main issues that I'm a bit concerned, and what I'm focusing currently in this current situation, is that how to like structurize the work and collaboration in a new way. So not only just transforming the old meeting practices to be done online, but kind of rethinking that, what kind of frequencies and schedules and structures do we need, and what can we do when we happen to have time, when we need to reserve the time spent together like we now do. And especially when you have planned to do like half a day or full day workshops or full day trainings, they seldom work that well in online setting, and you need to like redesign the process. So this is a simplification about this issue. So what to do beforehand, what to do during, and what to do after, and if it's a longer process, what to do in between the sessions. And I've been working with long-term organizational change processes, even of course before this situation where we now are. And the participation and engagement can be done with just small, tiny moments here and there. So like keeping the process on people's mind. So I've been comparing it to email. So if you get an email that is like from 3 to 5 lines, you read it, you react to it. If you have like 1 page of text in email, or if you even have to scroll it, you quite often, at least I think that, okay, maybe later I'll come back to this. And the participation could be thought in the same way. So please come here and like the things that are meaningful for you. Here's a poll, help us to make decisions. Here's 2 questions, please share your thoughts. Come here and comment on this, like drafts of these ideas. So it doesn't have to happen in real time. It can be like the granularity of the participation can be really small. We talk about micro or nano interventions as part of the process. So spending the time together in online meetings and webinars and online workshops for the things where real-time communication is needed.
Hey, Ilkka, if I could jump in, one of the things that's great about, not great, but very useful in facilitation, I learned this a long time ago, is one instruction at a time. And actually Howspace allows you to do that so well, because there have been a number of times early on in my career when I was in a session, I said, okay, first we're going to break into groups of 5. This group's going to get together and do this, and you two will do that, and they'll do this. And somebody will say, what are we going to break into? Because we lose control of all of it. But if you just give those one little instruction at a time, check this out, comment on this, do that, that prompts and really keeps a dialogue and a conversation going, and it's very simple to do.
Yeah, exactly. So our idea has been that the well-functioning methods and methodologies that we know as facilitators and we have used to utilize in the classroom or workshop room, they can be like utilized in different settings. So different kind of hybrid models where part of the people are at the same location, some people are remotely participating, or it might be totally virtual setting like now, or it can be like we have a ideation session during these 3 days, and whenever you have time you can go and add your ideas, and then next 2 days could be like, now it's time to prioritize things, giving points or likes, and then moving on. So and the challenge quite often is that if you're utilizing too many tools, then like survey tools here and LinkedIn groups there and then Dropbox there and so on, it's really hard to have like an image about the wholeness. And what we try to do is like to have a platform for the whole journey, that where you can find different parts of your participation and the process that you are part of. So covering all these different areas, sometimes like complementary tools like Zoom or Teams are needed once you need to have virtual sessions. But to be able to utilize the familiar methods, not only with different settings, but also like scaling them up. So the methods that you are used to use with flip charts and post-its can be scaled to hundreds of people or even thousands of people, or even globally to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. And in that case, it's good to have AI supporting the analysis phase, even in real time. These are 6 main design principles that we are following when we are designing the platform, but I think the same principles are really good for any facilitators as well. So how to simplify things? So I think it's the main task for any facilitator, how to make the participation simple and noiseless. So to design the process in a way that people feel that, okay, someone is helping us to participate, and you are not facing like huge amount of documents and before participating you have to read first 34 pages of documentation, and then you ask something and you feel that I never have time to participate to this. So the problem is not availability of information, it's the limitation of the focus areas. So how to know what I'm asked to do at certain points of the process. Then our idea, and that's something that is important for the facilitators as well, is that how human beings are thinking is like stories and workflows. So instead of having to write instructions that now you need to go to that tool and now you have to go to that direction, and here's the team room and documentation is there and chat is there, we think that this needs to be a service for the participants. So you just drag and drop those features where you need as part of your workflow. And by that, you are creating a contextual environment. So here's a video, watch it, and let's discuss about that. So that kind of leadership from the facilitator is important. And storytelling is not only the process design, it's also how people are invited to participate into the processes. What's your favorite one of these, Michael?
Well, I think I like them all, but the storytelling aspect and what my experience has been is, if I can create, the simple story. I used to use this example, say, look, here's a story. There's a kingdom, and then the queen dies, and the evil prince dies, and the king dies at the end. Oh, okay, that's a great story. But it's an outline you can start with, but then you start into the story of, all the people were happy, and the black-hearted prince wanted the throne, and, they fight to the death, and there's all the details around it. So I usually start with, what's that basic story? And I don't worry about telling more story. I have the story of what we're doing. Like with a client recently, it was, how are we determining what really matters to us, what our purpose is, and what our real values are as we build the culture of a really new company? And so we had that basic story, and then we kept adding to it along the way. And tell us more about that. Why that value? How will that show up? Tell me how that manifested. Give me an example of that. Where might it look good? And so really expanding the story and helping everyone tell the story together, I think, is what creates a really powerful experience and engages people. You can give them the outline, but as a group, we create, all the details and all the wonderful pieces of it. So for me, I love storytelling the best, because I think it really anchors it in something that's engaging.
All right, that's nice example. I think quite many of the participants are not familiar with Howspace at all. So really short 2-minute introduction about what Howspace is about. We can organize different sessions, as I mentioned, for the demonstration. But the idea of Howspace is that every workspace like this one, this is designed for this webinar, a pre-phase, during, post-phase, and that's all. So they are like noiseless places for certain processes, certain group of people to work together. And as an administrator, I can design the whole thing. Everyone is like drag and drop user interface. I can do own visualization, own logos, colors, and background images, and so on. I can design the process, so I can decide what parts of the process are visible at the moment. I can add new pages that has been prepared, or I can do it during the session. Everything is drag and drop. And for example, the feedback is here waiting for us to be utilized in the end of the session. Then once I'm creating something like the next phase of the process, so let's say that here's post-webinar things that we could do. I can decide whether it's visible right now or later on, who can access to the page. Let's keep it open and ready now. Then I just drag and drop that what kind of page I would like to have. So there could be a title for that, and then there could be polls and discussions about your experiences and so on. So there's, I think, 15 widgets we currently have. Some of them are like content-based, and some of them are interactive. And whatever you need, I think these are covering most of the needs for this kind of collaborative practices that Howspace is planned for. And there's some more to come. And then there's inside these widgets, there's a certain amount of features that you can decide. For example, for the discussion, you can decide that what kind of features you would like to have now or later on. So you can have like several iterations of the discussions. But I will not go to the details of these widgets, just showing that it's really flexible and easy to utilize. And you will see some of the features while I'm sharing my screen when we are trying something out together.
Ilkka,
Yeah.
can I minutes to say so? And I know you were saying it wasn't a you can't help but have it be a bit of a house commercial, but I think what's important this is to see is that it's been set up into all of these different elements. And so as you're building your experience, facilitating online, whatever you want to do, think about the different tools, you know, in your arsenal. They're using Howspace, something else, but utilize as many of them as you can. Not to get it confusing, but just so there's variety in how you're engaged. Also that you're thinking beyond simply the one thing that you're comfortable with. You know, if you're comfortable with polls are great, but they can get really old. And unless you've got something like in the space as that really helps you with AI, pull out what's being said in the chat, the poll is just answers you've boxed people into. Simply monologuing at them through videos, you may get comfortable with that, but it doesn't allow as much interaction. So you really want to think through, and almost I like to, when I'm designing something, is have just all the potential possible tools out there, even write them on sticky pads, stick them on my wall and say, what I use here better to do this, as you think through how you're going to enact that story, take people on that journey, involve them in that process. The variety certainly helps keep people engaged as well.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try something out. So I added a page called Experiments, and there's a timer widget on top of the page, and then there's 3 questions. And then there's instructions, 1 topic per comment. So let's try out that. I try to keep my mouth closed for a couple of minutes. And this is a demonstration that quite often in virtual meetings and workshops, there's one person talking at a time, and then others have to listen or do something else if they are bored. But let's demonstrate if we are giving voice to everyone, so in written format. So what happens in 5 minutes? In the end, I will start giving some talking about how I'm adding new features in here and so on. So, but I try to be silent for at least 2 minutes. So, and it starts now.
And so we're going to experiment adding our thoughts in the question boxes, right?
Yes, please. Right. Feel free to continue writing. In the first chat, what new and innovative and so on, there's a possibility to like. And once you are ready with your own writing, check out what others have been writing in there and go and like the ones that you are somehow sharing or you see as relevant comments in there. In the second one, there is now points available. One meaning that, okay, this is something. 5 means that it's really important. So how you see others' ideas in there, go and give points for them. If you don't give any points, then it means 0 points. And now, as a facilitator, on purpose, I'm not yet showing how many likes there is, what is the sum of the points, so I can bring those in later on so that it's not like harming the process, so you can do it individually first. And once we have those then turned on, then I can do sorting and give rights for you as well to do the sorting based on likes or points. And as a facilitator, I have some extra tools that I can utilize. But you have also some artificial intelligence tools available. So if you click the 3 dots in the corners of these discussions, you will see word cloud and theme clustering in there. So especially if there's more than 10 comments and you would like to make sense of the discussion in real time, these are really handy. So by clicking the word cloud, you can see that, okay, what people are talking about. And it's not only a real-time traditional word cloud, it understands your language, it understands different forms of the same words, and it's understanding when 2 words are connected together. So organization, drive, participation, member. It takes the basic form of the words. Sometimes they might be funny because they are like basic forms of those 2 words. But this is a user interface. So once you find something that you are interested in, like I would be interested in engagement, I can click that word and I will come back to this discussion, and engage in different forms will be available in here. And I could ask participants to reply to these comments. So now I turn one feature on. Now you can reply to others' comments based on anything you see, or based on filtering based on the word cloud. And so this can be like, let's say that you have 500 people in the room and you are collecting ideas of everyone, or in a virtual webinar or workshop or whatever you are facilitating. Then you can say that, okay, you don't have to read everything through, pick up 1 word at a time or pair of words, and then go and like, or go and reply to those ideas. Yeah.
One of the things that I like to do with this feature as well, especially if we have a large group, is get people engaged with each other. So oftentimes there'll be a couple of questions on here that are something to the effect of, what is it I need and what is it I have to give? And then people can look at the word cloud, they get the summary and say, that's the thing I need, zoom in. And we start to get those conversations going, as well as, you know, the more traditional hub and spoke, because we're going to default most likely to a let's hub and spoke to the leader, whoever's got the stage, whoever's on camera, which is hard not to. It's kind of how we're trained in most meetings. We all sit there and listen to that person, even if we're bored silly, or even if they're wrong. But getting the communication going sideways. Also, the what do I have to give is great in that people are able to put forward things you didn't really realize. And so many times in our organizations, we're focused on, it's what I call humanizing over organizing. We're focused on the role. and we think that their role is what matters, and you play a role and I play a role, and really the human beings are kind of fungible. We just inhabit these roles, whereas there's a lot more to us than the role that we play, and we all know that when we felt boxed in by something we're doing in a company. This gives us an opportunity with, what do I have to give, to share more of that, to bring some of the things you have to the table. And I found, interestingly enough, maybe it wouldn't happen live, but in a situation like this, digital, you can get people to be a little bolder and say, here's the thing I have to give, because they have a moment to think about it. They can figure out how they want to say it. If they're introverts, they can process it differently. And so I would encourage you, as you're having your online conversations, again, with whatever tool, giving people a format to say what I need and what I have to give can be a really powerful thing to connect them together.
Thanks, Michael. Then if I go back to the settings of these chats, so if I would like to have anonymous discussion, it's possible. This is something that facilitators need to be careful of, because it's possible to show also these discussions. So this feature is done because there could be like ideation session first without the name and photo, then you do prioritization, and then once you know that what are the best ideas, you can show that who were originally authors of those comments, and like this. Now I will show the show likes in here. So if you have been giving the likes in here, I can now go and sort the comments by likes and see that, okay, Eva's idea has 7 likes, and next one has 5, and so on. And I can even save this, like as a result of this discussion. I can say that as default it will show the most liked comments, and I can decide how many of comments will be shown in here, like the results of the workshop. The same thing with the points in here. So I can click show points, then we will see the sum of the points, and we can show the comments by the points. And Helen's idea seems to be the one that has most of the points, and I can take the option to give points away, so that now we have only the sum in here. So plenty of different options and variations and different phases as part of the process. Something that as a facilitator I can check out in real time or later on is that, okay, now when there's like almost 30 ideas about new methods, I can get a summary about what people are talking about. Makes sense. And how about previous learnings? Okay. And what to leave behind? Okay, good stuff. And then the latest feature that we have created based on AI is sentiment analysis. So this summary and sentiment analysis, currently they are tools for facilitators. Maybe later on they might be, it might be possible to give rights to use those for participants as well, but currently they are only for facilitators. So what we have been teaching AI is 2 kind of emotions. So what people appreciate, what people are concerned about. And here we can see that there's more concerns than appreciation, because it's like we are worried about unlearning stuff and leaving something behind. And we can also teach AI by deciding that, okay, do we agree that these are showing appreciation or concerns? And then it's learning why people are utilizing the tool. And then you can see that what emotions are related to different keywords that people are utilizing as part of the discussion. It's in many cases, it's really interesting to see that, okay, what seems to be happening, how worried we are, what kind of concerns we have, for example, in transformation process, or when we are trying to change something or learn something new.
Okay. If I comment on the artificial intelligence, I mean, obviously it's a hot term and a hot word that's exciting. What I like about this though is that if you think about, many of you, I see people that I know online here who have done this, have had groups of people, and you're trying to come up kind of with the core thoughts. And so you spent a lot of time with a whole lot of stickies all over the place. And you've taken those stickies and put them into chunks, into categories, and added them up and changed and wordsmithed them to got down to the essence of what the group was thinking. That's actually a process that you can shortcut here. And when you get the summary, when you get the keywords, especially when we saw those different summaries before that kind of summarized what was going on, what I do with those when I'm facilitating with the group, which with a lot of people, is then I respond fairly quickly after that work is done with a new question I create on the page or on a different page, depending on where I want to take them, and say, this is what we heard, and even show a little picture of that. And then say, tell me more. Let's go farther into that. How could we deal with that? So what the artificial intelligence does is allows you to have a conversation at scale, or facilitate a conversation at scale. So what he's put up there, I need to find ways I can analyze the user input real time or getting people engaged. Great. Tell us more about that. You know, who's got an answer to that? Who's got a contribution? Again, this is about creating a dialogue, because the one thing that we can do live is we can see people, we can point out, we can create that dialogue, we can draw people out. We want to do the same thing here, and to do that, especially at scale, we need to have a way to understand quickly what everyone is saying. So that's just as how I use something like this. And in a tool that you're using where you're getting a lot of feedback, you need to figure out a way to pull that feedback together quickly and say, great, what's the next question? What's the next proposition I have for you? So it doesn't become just a here's your answer and it goes nowhere. Because if we give our thoughts and nothing happens, we don't feel listened to. If we respond to the piece that we just saw as a summary, people feel, wait a minute, you actually heard what I said. And that covers most of the, even if you're not one of the people that said that, you'll say, oh, that's interesting. They're living what the majority of people are saying, and you feel like you want to participate more. So just a bit of a tip from the trenches, having used this for the past several years.
But is there questions?
There is no questions, and that is something I wanted to shift the focus to. So if any of the participants have any questions, feel free to write them on the chat, and we have people here who can answer those questions and who can take those up. So feel free, and this will, in that sense, make the discussion a bit more interactive.
Yeah, thanks. Something about what we just did together here. So there's plenty of other options how we could have done this. For example, I could take the possibility to add any text away and to focus on just, for example, that draw something, draw a mind map with paper and pencil, take a photo with your phone of that, and then we would have like 50 photos demonstrating what kind of things you are thinking about around this topic, or record a 30-second video about what you are thinking about this, or make a short interview with a video with your colleague, and then we can continue with that. So using rich media and different kind of methods. And then while moving on from these discussions, okay, we can use points and likes and sorting and so on. But what could be done, for example, if we would like to focus on the first discussion first, I could like add a new page here, and new and innovative, and I could like put the new discussion topic, maybe a pulse widget, and then I can go back to experiments page, drag this widget with me to the new page, and start a new discussion in here, asking that, okay, how So what is the current state? How, and let's say how agile you are, and let's put it from 1 to 10, so there's enough scale, and then that's kind of starting point. And then what will I do differently this week? So that we are not only talking, we are doing something. And then let's do it. So you can find the new page in here, come in here, evaluate where you are, how agile you are. I would say that being this old man, I'm quite agile still. And then what I could do differently based on the discussion on the left side. I will read through all the comments and reply to them. And then one thing I could do as a facilitator is that I will check out that who have commented, who have not commented, and to those who have shared their plans, they will, I hope there will be more, but Howspace will check out that, okay, those who have been active in here and who has been sharing their thoughts, I could send this reminder on Friday. So that was the task for this week. So let's say Friday morning, everyone who has had the idea will get an email, and my task would be that come back and write a reply to yourself. What did you do? Did you do it? Did you manage to do it? So being like responsible for your own plans. So this kind of schedules that are targeted to the ones who have participated or who haven't participated, there's ready-made default emails that you can of course change. And then you will get at scheduled time a direct link to that page where you wrote something, and then you will be asked, okay, now reply to what you were planning to do. So I will say that thank you and reply to yourself. Blah, blah, blah. And then those who have been writing stuff in there, it will be checked on Friday that who are the ones who before the Friday morning have been doing that job. And you could actually do this. So now there's a scheduled email for that. So this kind of creativity and flexibility using different methods, utilizing different widgets, using schedules, having small tasks here and there. These are like what are part of digital facilitation.
There is one question which I think generates a bit more discussion. It's not very technical in that sense. So what would you say is the optimum length for an online learning session? Because learning and physical sessions do have their differences. So how long can you keep people's focus on?
I think it's important to design the whole rhythm. So having the breaks in between, and maybe my recommendation could be something like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And then when I was in teacher college, one learning that I still remember was that once you are designing any kind of lessons, think it in 7-minute periods. So every 7th minute there has to be a change in the rhythm. So some kind of activation, some kind of question, some kind of new topic, so that people are awake and they don't lose their focus and go to read their emails and do other stuff and so on. So I think it might be even shorter when you are online. There's a temptation to do something else during the session and
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think having it built out where you can keep a flow, especially right now, and there's so much stuff going on, things are becoming episodic and getting our attention. If you can have that little consistent flow and build it into your day, it becomes less obtrusive and more just engaging. You know, the larger live sessions, like, you know, one we're doing now, can be useful for moments in time, but they shouldn't be the bulk of it, quite frankly. The bulk of it should be us relating using the tool, which takes some getting used to, because we're not used to working with others unless we're sitting next to others. So it does take some getting used to, and sometimes the sitting together digitally can be the time to remind us of that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we are already 5 minutes in overtime. I added one more page here, feedback. So please share your experience. So what are you thinking about this session? And it would be really interesting to hear also that, was there something that was meaningful for you? What did you learn? And what questions you still have on your mind? And we will reply to those questions. And this other poll is about, would you like to participate to another session or know more about Howspace as a tool? And these, we can see who has responded to which of these options, so we can contact you or send you invitations to next sessions and so on, if you like. And you can remove also your thoughts. And as you can see, it's pretty nice in real-time session to see the results in real time. There's plenty of options, for example, here in poll as well, that, okay, how the results, are they shown as bar charts or pies, and how many answers you can give, and do you see answers in real time, and can you change your answers, can you see your own answers, and so on, just like in other interactive widgets, so that you can really use it in a way that makes sense for your case. All right. So thanks a lot. There will be some reminders coming based on your activity here on next Friday. We will check out what you have been saying aloud in here, and you are welcome to come back to this workspace to check out what's going on. There will be notifications if your comments are liked or commented, then you will have real-time notification. You can turn off the notifications from your profile if you don't like them. Quite often this kind of sessions, there might be a life cycle of a couple of days where the activity continues. In larger events, it might be even months that people, even without facilitation, might stay active in these workspaces. And yes.
Ilkka, if I could mention as well, this is a commercial. Some of the other folks from the Howspace team are working on Hall in the Box, which I mentioned in the What'll I Do this week. And one of the things that we've been talking about is what can we give away during this crisis. And so we're building a framework of just run a town hall in a box. Now it is Howspace based. You have to do it that way. But we're kind of talking through what would a good series of town halls to people in the right way, especially when they maybe feel disengaged or distanced I put a comment in there, and some people said they'd like to hear more about it. But if you would, just go ahead and let us know under the "What will I do differently this week?" or just reach out. I put my email in the box on the feedback page as well, and we're happy to invite you to that and give that away if it's useful to you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So that was it this time. Thanks everyone. Thanks Michael. Thanks Art.
Yes, thank you, Ilkka, and thanks everyone who participated in this. As you saw, there's already a discussion going on, so feel free to join that one, and we will reach out if you have any questions. So thanks once again, Ilkka and Michael, for joining this session.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.